Hi, my name is Jamaal Jones, and thank you for taking some time to look at my YouTube video. I'm a healthcare attorney based in Miami, Florida, and every now and then I like to post videos about various different health law topics as it relates to the law. Today, I'd love to talk about medical malpractice insurance coverage. Medical malpractice insurance is an essential part of any physician's practice. According to the American College of Physicians, medical malpractice insurance is a specialized type of professional liability insurance that covers physician liability arising from disputed services that result in a patient's injury or death. Injuries may present themselves immediately or at some time in the future. Malpractice insurance premiums or requirements will vary depending upon several factors, including, but not limited to, how long you've been practicing, the size of your practice, specialty, prior claims filed against you, etc. Many providers receive their malpractice insurance coverage through their hospital employer, while independent physicians must purchase their own. You should carefully examine your current insurance policy to determine whether your coverage is claims made or occurrence, which I'm going to go into right now. But first, let's start with claims made policy. A claims-made policy protects physicians for treatment that was provided from the first day of coverage through the expiration date. Since coverage ends on the expiration date, you must always renew your claims-made policy on the expiration date to continue coverage without any gaps. Each year that the claims-made policy is renewed, the retroactive date remains the same. The renewed claims-made policy covers claims that are filed during the policy year for incidents that occurred on or after the retroactive date. This allows for previous years to be covered under the current policy. In short, if you continue to renew a claims-made policy, the protections in place will continue for any covered incidents that occur between the retroactive date and the expiration date. Any injuries that occurred prior to the retroactive date or after the policy has expired are not covered, which is why continuously maintaining this type of policy is important. Claims-made policies allow you to increase your policy limits or add new coverage as needed, or when new coverage becomes available. A claims-made policy allows an insurer to transfer their coverage from one insurer to another without purchasing tail coverage, which will be discussed shortly. This only applies if you have an active claims-made policy that is transferable to another insurer that offers prior acts coverage for the claims-made policy. In this instance, the new insurer will roll over the retroactive date from the previous policy into the new policy. The new policy now covers the same period as the old policy, since it includes the retroactive date. Unlike occurrence coverage, claims-made limits do not restore each year. The policy limits remain the same as they were when you initially purchased the policy. Now, just to quickly touch on tail coverage. Claims-made policies don't cover claims made after the expiration of the policy, so you'll have to purchase tail coverage to continue coverage. Tail coverage, also known as extended reporting endorsement, is very important if you've been covered under a claims-made policy and are changing insurers, switching employers, or retiring. Tail provides malpractice coverage during the transition for injuries that may have occurred in the past. Tail allows the policyholder to have continuous coverage from the policy's retroactive date to the policy expiration date. Any claims that are filed during that period are protected. To obtain tail coverage, you must pay a one-time fee shortly after cancellation of a policy, but it can be as much as 1.5 to 2 times a typical annual malpractice insurance premium. Again, if you're transferring coverage from one insurer to another insurer, tail policy coverage may not be necessary if the new insurer applies a retroactive date to your old policy. Now let's talk briefly about occurrence policies. Most physicians will opt for occurrence coverage where available. Occurrence policies protect you for treatment rendered during the entirety of the policy period, no matter when the claim is reported. An occurrence policy will still defend you against claims even after the policy has expired. This policy offers permanent coverage for incidents that occur during the policy period. Additionally, occurrence limits restored each year so that claims paid for incidents arising from one policy year do not deplete limits available to cover claims from other years. Each year that this type of policy is in effect constitutes a distinct set of limits. The amount of coverage in each year of coverage is aggregated annually to increase the limits. Now, there are a few questions that you should be asking yourself. Number one, what kind of coverage do I have? Number two, what are the policy limits for that coverage? Number three, do I have tail coverage or is it required? Number four, what type of incidents does my policy protect me from? Number five, is this policy transferable? Number six, will the new insurer retroactively date the new policy? I'd like to leave you with a few final reminders. When negotiating hospital employment, physicians should ask the hospital to pay for tail coverage or ask the hospital to allow them to continue their current coverage so that tail coverage is not required. Many physicians who are employed by hospitals may be required to obtain tail coverage since most hospitals are self-insured and won't provide the incoming physician with prior acts coverage. Purchasing tail coverage might not be a choice. Some hospital bylaws require physicians to maintain malpractice coverage even after they're no longer with that hospital in order to protect from any potential future claims that may arise for any treatment that was provided by the insured while on staff. Some hospitals will not grant staff privileges to a physician with any gaps in their malpractice coverage. You want to make sure that the policy is always in effect and that it covers all potential claims because legal fees and costs can cost you thousands of dollars. These legal fees and costs are in addition to any settlements that would have to be paid to the injured patient, which can range from a few $1,000s to millions of dollars. Claims-made policy is more flexible and more cost-effective, especially for those who are still in the early years of their practice. You should negotiate tail coverage in your employment contract with your new employer. Tail coverage is only necessary when a claims-made policy expires and the insured cannot secure nose coverage for your prior acts from a new insurance carrier. Finally, medical malpractice usually does not cover liability arising from criminal acts or sexual misconduct. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to look at this video. Again, my name is Jamaal Jones, and if you have any questions about medical malpractice insurance coverage, potential liabilities and exposure to that, or any other healthcare related topics, please feel free to contact me. My phone number, as you've seen it, is 305-877-5054, or you can email me at jrj@joneshealthlaw.com. Thank you very much.